Okay, so my Lord Windgrace deck I finally got to playtest, and there were a couple of things I didn't like about it. So I'm gonna actually go through the process of trying to troubleshoot the deck and take out everything that was weak, as well as what would probably make a lot of sense to go in it. So I'm just gonna start by sorting the deck out the way I would typically do it. So I typically would sort by card type. So in this case, we're gonna do like not really ramp, well, pretty much ramp, but like land tutors. So that goes into recursion. That would also fit. That's Eternal Witness. We have loose removal, landfall. So I'm gonna keep landfall separate for now because that's fairly relevant in the deck. Lands are just gonna go into a pile for now. I'm not gonna separate them based on the types. Glacial crevasses or crevices. That's going to go in the protection category. There's not a lot, but there are some. Reclamation Sage. It's going to go there. Browlin. So this one, he's kind of a win condition. So we're going to put him in like the loosely defined win condition category. Tireless Provisioner. This card's nuts. I didn't get it out in the one game I played. But this card is really good. So we're going to put this in landfall. So the landfall category has both the enablers in it and the cards that just have landfall effects. I'm not going to separate those right now. I'm just going to leave them together. Obviously, mana rocks. I'm going to keep those separate from the cards that search for lands, just because they function a little bit differently and they interact a little differently with some of the cards in the deck. And of course, the core theme is to get the lands into play, right? So they don't quite act the same way. Mina and Den, that's going to be allowing you to play extra lands. That's going to be a separate effect. Here's another tutor. Nature's Lore lets you search for a forest. Ancient Green Warden, this one lets you play lands from your graveyard. I don't really have a place for that yet. It's going to go with like Crucible of Worlds. Dryad is an amazing, amazing card. Pretty much every green deck should have it. This is going to go with Mina and Den. Harrow is, search for lands. Scapeshift is kind of an awkward one. It could theoretically be a win condition, but it also searches for lands. I'm just gonna put it in with the land tutors. Nissa, Shadowed Bows. I don't know what this does. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, put a loyalty counter on it. Untap a land you control. You may have it become a 3/3 elemental creature. I can just put it up here. Get it out of the light and get the autofocus to go. It's not gonna work. So anyway, okay, she lets you put stuff into play for free based on the number of counters on her. So she's pretty good. I think she's gonna stay in the deck. I didn't get to play her, but she seemed pretty interesting anyway. Genesis, he's pretty much one of the only ways to recur things in the deck. So I think he's gonna have to stay for now. I'm gonna throw him with the Eternal Witness and Life from the Lone stack. It's a little different. He gets lands, Mystifying Maze. Tilling Treefolk, amazing card. I have this in like every Astral Slide deck. Jockle Hops. So yeah, I play these in this deck. This deck isn't like the problem with Lord Windgrace is that he's not really a nice commander, and everybody knows that. So there's no point in building the deck and holding back. You should just build it as like abusive and degenerate as you can. There's no point. Badgersaur is really it's really good value. I'm gonna put him with like Bralin or Browlin, Browlin, I guess. I'm gonna put him there. Bone Miser. So this card's also really funny. I think I'm a little unsure still. Let me see if you can get this. I'm still a little bit unsure about this card. But I think ultimately it's going to be worth having in the deck. I wish this autofocus could do better. Do you have to hold it closer? Kind of, yeah. So he's really good. I don't even know where he's going to go. I typically have one pile in a deck where it's just good things, and so he's going to start in the good things pile. The Abyss, this is pretty much removal. It doesn't have to be in here, but the reason I have it in here is because the deck generates a lot of tokens. So I think I'm going to keep it in for now. it's going to go with Bone Miser because this isn't a very removal heavy deck. Creeping Renaissance. This is really good. It brings back lots of lands. You can get tons of landfall triggers. Here's a Smoldering Crater. It cycles. So, you know, that's pretty cool. Bayou, obviously, you need duels if you can, or at least shocks. Damnation is, you know, board wipe. So that's going to go here. I think you have to run Damnation. You got to run at least one board wipe. Reforge the Soul. It can just like help you get, you know, more gas in your hand. This card for me is kind of hit or miss. Or take it or leave it is probably the better expression. Because, you know, you already got Lord Windgrace's plus, you know, +2 ability. Vesuva, copy land. You know, in multiplayer EDH games, your opponents tend to have like command towers, stuff like that. Taiga, obviously, you need to have. Again, like it's just you know, the right tools. All right, so Excavator. So the Excavator and not Coat of Arms, Crucible. I'm gonna keep them in a separate pile for now, but I may end up merging them with the Dryad, right? So Cultivate goes in a pretty simple place right there. Exploration, this is letting you play extra lands. Obviously, it goes over here with the extra land cards. Lake of the Dead. This card, I'm still on the fence about. It is good, you know, but it's also really high risk. So yeah, I'm not really sure how I feel about it. It does get lands in your yard, but it gets targeted a lot for land destruction. Beast Within, you know, you should. It's a green deck. You kind of need it. Glacial Chasm. This is a pretty good card. Basically, it's Maze of Ith on steroids, basically, and you know, with different effects allowing you to play lands from your graveyard, and like a Zurin Orb, you really don't have to worry about. You know, you can keep this card and play for a pretty long time. Colony Garden makes a free token since you can loop, you know, lands, ETB triggers pretty easily. It's not a bad land to have in there. Grim Tutor, you know, it's a tutor. We're gonna put that over here. Pernicious Deed is, you know, it destroys things, including tokens, very easily. I think any deck that's green-black is an auto-include. I thought I had... It's kind of... We'll keep the removal pile a little bit more consistent. So Damnation can go there. The Abyss, because it doesn't target, because you don't select the targets, and because it doesn't do it quickly, I'm not going to put the Abyss in the removal pile. It's going to just kind of go in like the general good stuff pile. Tutor is going to stay here for now, separate from the land tutors. Ruination, destroy all non-basic lands. It's going to go with your land destruction pile. Crawling Sensation, this one makes tokens. It self-mills, and then it makes you insect tokens whenever one or more lands put into your graveyard from anywhere for the first time each turn. So this is a pretty solid card. Do I have a place for this? So I'm going to put this in the wall effect, actually, because at the end of the day, the tokens, for the most part, are there to try and protect your commander and you. You rarely are going to swing with them and win, right? Sheltered Thicket, it's cycling and dual land typing. Bajuka Bog. I need to update the deck's mana base to, you know, I don't have like triomes and all those other things. Well, there's only one triome you'd use. But I don't have stuff like that in here. Abrupt Decay, you know, targeted removal. So, you know, it's pretty good. Field of the Dead. I don't know if this is... I guess it's not banned. It's banned in something I heard. But yeah, so this is the one that makes like zombies whenever... So whenever Field of the Dead or another land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control 7 or more lands with different names, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Maze of Ith, you know. I think people know Maze of Ith by now. Grim Backwoods draws you cards, right? So that's what that's for. Badlands, again, same deal with the rest of the lands. Lotus Field, I'm a little on the fence about this card. Last game, the one game I played with, I had Lotus Field and Lotus... I think it's Lotus Veil. I had them both, and yeah, it was okay. It wasn't amazing. Urborg, you know, great card. Not much to say about it. Wooded Foothills, you know, it's a fetch land. You need to have some basics. Oracle allows you to play extra lands as well as from the top of your library. I think Oracle is like, you should play Oracle. It's good. Scoot Swarm. This card is probably one of the best cards in the deck. It is a win condition by itself. It closes out games incredibly quickly. And it's just extremely abusive. This card's obscene. I may end up putting the I can't remember the name of the ogre. It's the one that gives whenever a creature enters the battlefield, it gets +2/+0 in haste, Bloodlust Ogre or something like that. That with this card is nuts. We've got Gitrog. He allows you to play additional lands, so he's good to have. He also gives you some card draw. Omnath, this is pretty much one of your win conditions with the landfall. It makes 5/5 elementals. So yeah, that card's pretty nasty. I guess it's so weird because we have a lands from the graveyard pile already. People are probably watching this super annoyed this entire time and not even paying attention to the rest of the video. Another Nissa. She was okay. Zendikar's Royal makes tokens. Same deal. It's like half win condition, half wall effect. Snow-covered mountain. So the snow-covered is in here specifically because of the glacial crevices. That's the only reason I have this in here. It also looks nice. I mean, let's be real. Lotus Cobra. These things are like $2 now, so it's pretty cool. It's not tutor, or it's really land ramp more so than tutor. I guess realistically it should go with the Soul Ring, but that's kind of an awkward one. Chromatic Lantern, card's nuts. Yeah, it's a good card. People should play it. Multani. This one is okay. The biggest use I have for this card, honestly, is like I keep it, like I get it in the yard until I need it. I don't typically play it, and I leave it in the yard until I'm playing one of the land destruction cards, and then I just float the mana, return 2 of my lands to my hand to like give myself an advantage after everybody loses their lands. That's really what this card does more than anything else. So it's just gonna go in the good stuff pile. Blighted Fen. I mean, you can kill people with Multani. It gets beefy, but like I don't know. But people don't really play fair magic anymore. So combat damage is fair magic, right? It's just not real. Like maybe some playgroups you can get away with it, but not where I play. So Forest is Tectonic Reformation. This one, pretty much every single time I end up with it in my hand, as in the one time I played it last game, I cycled it. I didn't use it. So I'm not really sure about this card. So we're going to put this in the miscellaneous good stuff pile for now. I could almost make a category called card draw. Worm Harvest, this is actually how I won the game. It was post land destruction, and the only player who was left in the game was a like a Boros Spirit Reanimator, make tokens when you exile things from your graveyard, some nonsense like that. But none of his stuff had flying, so like I was at 2 life. He was at like 40 something, and then I cast this, and I was able to stabilize because I had like 17 lands in my graveyard. So I was able to stabilize and win the game against him. So this card, I think no matter what you put this in here, I mean, you could easily cut like Crawling Sensation or something else, but Worm Harvest, I think it stays. So yeah, Lotus Veil, that's what it was. This was like, I didn't. It's definitely not as good as the Hexproof one, but especially since it makes you sacrifice untapped lands. Bloodstained Mire, fetch land, obviously. Windswept Teeth, fetch land, obviously. Snow-covered Mountain, again, second one. Polluted Mire, it's really just for the cycling. Swamp, Forest. Ooh, that's a nice looking one. It looks better in person, just like me. Strip Mine, because it's people deserve it. Nurturing Peatland, this is great. I mean, this is such a good card in the deck. You just get to keep drawing cards. It puts itself in the bin so you can get triggers for lands and stuff like that. Valakut, I don't think I even have enough mountains in the deck to run Valakut. Um, so like without Dryad, um, it's like tough. So I really need like a Prismatic Omen in the deck as well if I'm really gonna run Valakut. Um, so I'm probably gonna end up cutting Valakut, but for now I'm not going to. But I should like at least make it a more viable win condition. If I want to use it, I need to make it a more viable win condition, which means tailor the deck a little bit more to that being a win condition. Slippery Karst, is just for the cycling. Manuscape Refractor, this card's terrible. I didn't even like, I was thinking I was gonna be hitting like, Dark Depths and all like just all sorts of like crazy stuff, but honestly, like there's just not enough people playing really strong lands for this to be worthwhile. Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna keep this in the deck. This is definitely gonna come out. This is an example of this card is an example of bad deck building, right? So there's a really simple like philosophy within deck building that like people fall into the trap of, and obviously I do that too, where you look at cards and say if, right? Like this card would be good if my opponents had good things out, or if I get good lands out. Any card should be good on its own, and it should have an immediate impact on the board on its own. If it doesn't do that, unless it's like an absolutely degenerate combo piece, it shouldn't be in your deck. So this card, it shouldn't be in the deck. It's dead weight. That's all it is. So this is one of the cards that's getting cut for sure. Constant Miss. This also helped me win the game, obviously. One of the best cards in the deck. It's an auto-include in any lands deck. You just can't play without it. Avenger Zendikar. This is how like you win. Like if you want to like do combat damage or whatever, like this card makes things. It makes plants and then they get bigger. It works well with this other card in the deck that actually almost lost me the game. But it's not actually bad. I'm just bad at playing Magic. Ashaya. This one makes I think it's when it enters the battlefield, it makes all of your non-token lands into forests, or maybe just as long as it's in play, your non-token your non-token creatures are forests. I could Google it. I'm not going to, but people can. But I think it's probably good in the deck. I threw it in the yard. I discarded it to Lord Windgrace last game, so it didn't do anything to help me. But like on paper, it looks pretty good, and it's like a beefy creature. So I feel like it's probably worth having. Roiling Regrowth. This one, it's good. The only downside is I actually failed to find when I searched post land destruction effect in the game I played. So I just need to reconsider my basics count and decide whether or not I want to have both Harrow and Roiling Regrowth in the deck. Because I probably had 60 cards left in the deck and I failed to find. I think I only run like 6 basics, maybe maybe 5. Turn Timber Sower. So this one works with the Avengers Zendikar. It makes 0/1 green plants. And you sacrifice 3 creatures to return a land from your graveyard to your hand. So overall, it's a good card, and I think I'm going to keep it in the deck. The reason I almost lost with it is because I forgot to sacrifice all the plants before I put out Earthlink. So that's just me being bad. That's all that is. So I think the card itself is good. So we're going to put that in the pile of good cards, or like token landfall. It's not landfall, so we're not going to put it in the landfall pile. We're going to put it with it. Like, you can almost put it in the land recursion pile because it brings lands back. We'll put it over there. Crux of Fate. Destroy all non-dragon or dragon creatures. It like costs 1 more than Damnation, but I have it in most of my black decks, and it's good. Like, it's pretty solid. I really couldn't see myself cutting this card. Plus, there's this one kid like in my play group, especially. He plays dragons a lot, so he plays dragons a lot, and he also gets tilted really easily. So like, it's fun to do to him specifically. Earthlink. So this card is awesome, and it's also like if you're bad like me, you could end up almost losing the game because of it. So this says whenever I hate my camera, whenever a creature is put into the graveyard from play, that creature's controller sacrifices a land. It's really good against token decks. I played this, so I took this guy out because he was playing Emeria Angel, he probably had like in his 4-color Omnath deck, and he had like he probably lost like 20 land. Like he just lost all of his lands when I wiped his tokens. I lost 7 because I'm stupid. But obviously I was able to come back. Yeah, so Earthlink, awesome card, super dirty card. But of course, like, you're playing Lord of Windgrace, so don't fight fairly. Death Cloud, same deal, awesome card. Basically, each player loses X life, then discards X cards, and then sacrifices X creatures and sacrifices X lands. With Earthlink out, it's a double whammy, which is funny. Realms Uncharted. This card's like just like gifts ungiven, but it's like actually kind of like gifts given, I guess. I don't know. For lands, like, it's so good. I've been playing this card literally since Rise of the Eldrazi, since it came out, because I had my what was it at the time? Carador Astral Slide deck. Demonic Tutor. It's a tutor. Obliterate. I need to get this altered with Exodia on it. I think that's just like an absolute must. But otherwise, I think this card is great. That's the only thing it's lacking. Crucible of Worlds, right? So that's good. You should have that. Rampaging Baloths, great card. Landfall, makes beefy boys, and we like beefy boys. Yeah, I should have said that differently. Arcane Signet. They're like I don't know if they're still like $1, but they were like $1 for a while, and I picked up like 20 of them because I play EDH. Vandal Blast. So it's either really good or it's useless. That's basically how this card ends up being. Like, so sometimes it's going to save you or win you the game, and I think that variability in it is like enough for it to be worth having in the deck, right? You just, yeah, I think you got to play it. Like, worst case scenario, you hit like a Grafdigger's Cage or something, But yeah, no matter how you look at it, I think it stays in the deck. Come on. Zurin Orb. I'm like 50-50 on this card, to be honest. Yeah, it's like you sack all your lands to it right before you do the mass land destruction, right? Sack all your lands to it, and it gives you a little bit more time than everybody else probably to rebuild without dying. So it's good, but it's not amazing. Obviously you can do it to get lands in the yard to recur like landfall triggers if you have Crucible out. So like there's definitely provides a lot of value. Yeah, I think it's worth running. Titania. So I mean, she makes like 5/3. She makes a bunch of stuff. I think you play her. I think that's kind of like a no-brainer. She's gonna go up there with like the token / wall type effects. Yeah, so looking at this pile, right? I'm not gonna do the curve. The curve's pretty reasonable. So like I said, right off the bat, we're getting rid of Manascape Refractor, right? I think that's just like, you just kind of have to. Literally, I'm looking at this and I'm like, do I need to shave my arms? Like, they don't look like that. They don't look bad, but like, this looks gross. Anyway, Manascape Refractor, cool card, but not in this deck and not in basically any deck, to be honest. But I like the card is like, I like the design of the card, but I like winning more. So that's out. The next card that's going to come out, it's probably gonna be the Abyss. As much as I like it because I can always make tokens. Because the game almost like the whole goal is for me to reset the board like by destroying lands. So I guess the Abyss kind of has to stay. I'm like right now I'm like forcing myself to find cuts, right? Like Valakut obviously should get cut until I can find a better balance of mountains in the deck. So I'm thinking really like maybe like so I'm gonna cut the Manascape Refractor, and then what I'm probably gonna try and put in is like maybe a tutor, like some sort of land tutor. Let me grab my binder and see what I can find. Is this gonna fit underneath the brackets I built for my camera? It is not. It is not gonna fit. That is unfortunate. So you're going to have to stare at the camera and watch this video while I flip through looking for things that you can't even see. No, let's get this up here somehow, because part of the fun is just, you know, looking through, looking at cards, right? Isn't that why people watch these videos anyways, to look at cards? So I think if we do it diagonally, Harry Potter, I just reread, or like I was listening to the Harry Potter audiobooks while I was renovating my rental property, and let me tell you, they're not very good. That is like a really like nostalgia, rose tinted lens, whatever you want to say, but the writing and the plot armor and all that stuff, I'm gonna get some angry people in the comments. Just kidding, I don't get any comments on my videos. Nobody watches these. But if they did, I'd be making people mad. But yeah, so they're not that good. Look, J.K. Rowling, what she did is fantastic. And I just think that they're like too, like a little bit too childish. Like by like the third book, they're just going against Death Eaters the entire time, who are just like trying to kill them and like throwing killing curses at them, and they're just running around like stunning them and like taking their wands away. Like, I'm sorry, at a certain point, you just go in and like you just start like you just got to start killing like them, like all of them, like Bellatrix, like all these people. You just got to start like capping people. I don't know what's going on. Also, the whole thing with like Voldemort. Let's be real. Like, all they have to do is go to like the Muggle Prime Minister and be like, "Yeah, bro, we've got this guy. He's got like a wand and he like can kill a couple people at a time with it. Do you think you can do anything for us?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, sure. What do you want? Like drone strike? You want like we can just like tail the guy and like light him up with from like a helicopter? Like we can like set up like a sniper like 1,000 yards away? Like bullet travels faster than the speed of sound? Like is Voldemort gonna detect the bullet coming in to blow his brains out? No. Like I'm sorry, but he just like as far as like villains go, like he was like kind of weak and like not like that believable like as a villain. Like even like with the Horcruxes and stuff. Spoiler alert if you haven't read to like the 5th book or whatever. Like I'm just saying, man, he does not pass the proverbial vibe check when it comes to you know, big baddies. I'm thinking maybe Entomb. I feel like Entomb could go in here because I want to put like lands in the graveyard. All right, so Entomb for now is probably gonna go in. We're gonna think about that. Um, let's see. Yeah, Entomb probably. That just yeah, I'm thinking Entomb. Um, Tainted Pact doesn't make any sense. Yawgmoth's Will doesn't. I don't need that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm leaning towards Entomb right now. I thought about Tarmogoyf, but like it's just like it's like why? Burgeoning. I also thought about burgeoning, but realistically, like I just like I don't think it's I think it's a dead card too quickly. I had Courser of Prufix in the deck for a while. I did have Courser in there, but it really wasn't. It was pretty underwhelming to be honest. Yeah, it was very underwhelming. Um, uh, Reshape the Earth. I thought about that. Scavenging Ooze. Scavenging Ooze I might do as well because you know there's enough people who run graveyard combos that being able to hit something in their yard is pretty good. So I think Scavenging Ooze and Entomb are the two cards that I'm leaning towards right now. Um, Choke I thought about as well. You can't really see it, but Choke I thought about. Um, Maybe should I just put a second Dryad of the Elysian Grove in there? Honestly, that's pretty much where I'm at this point, like mentally. That's kind of how I feel like playing this one. Is just put another Dryad in there. Nobody's gonna know, you know. Nobody deck checks. No, I won't do that. I don't cheat at Magic. That's wrong. You shouldn't do that. Don't follow the example set by various pros. You shouldn't do that. So Grist, he's green black. What does he do? Create black and green insect creature token, then mill a card. Ooh, mill a card. That's good news. Sack a creature, destroy target creature, planeswalker. I've got the tokens that I make a lot of. Um, eh, nah, not quite, not quite. Um, let's see. If I could, I'd put Teferi's Moat in here. But I can't, so... oh, Renin 6. Renin 6. I have a Renin 6. I have Renin 6. Oh, and behind the Renin 6 is a Batterbone. I feel like Renin 6 would actually... Return a land from your graveyard to your hand. Instants and sorceries have retrace, and it deals 1 damage to any target. Honestly, that's like... That's kind of... Ooh, ow. Oops. That's kind of underwhelming, I want to say. Maybe it's... I guess it's probably better than it looks. I mean, it's obviously works in the deck pretty well. Can I just put Cauldron Complete in here so my insect tokens are just terrifying? To be honest, I kind of want to. Is that... I feel like it's stupid to do, though. Ah, it's funny, though. I mean, I always... Like, 7 mana is not hard to get. Kill Switch, Engage. Helm of Obedience. No, we don't do that. Torpor Orb. Like, I did think about, like, the Torpor Orb, but it messes up some of the stuff in the deck. Oh, I have to put Aetherflux Reservoir in one of my decks. I forget which one it was supposed to go in, but it was supposed to go in something. I did think about Grafdigger's Cage, actually, because this one doesn't... Rest in Peace is the one I was thinking about before, and that's actually an enchantment on artifact. So maybe Vandal Blast is pretty much useless in this deck. Because Grafdiggers doesn't really hurt this deck that much. So, I don't know. I thought about it. Let me think. Oh, I do need to pick up the rest of the foil old border fetches. I gotta remind myself to do that. Zombies. Bridge from Below. I wish I could do Bridge from Below. Those would be nice. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Undergrowth Stadium. Maybe Undergrowth Stadium. Maybe. I'm not really sure, to be honest. I don't think there's anything else in here that's even... No, I don't think so. No. Okay. Well, so what did we say? We said, it's sad. Like, I barely even played Magic for almost last year. Last night was the first time I played in a really, really long time. And I don't even remember what I have in this binder. Like, I remember I've got stuff in it, but like I don't remember like quantities, because I did pick up the Modern Horizons 2 or Modern Masters 2 or 5 or whatever it is. Yeah, but I didn't really pay attention. All right, so we said Scooze and Entomb, probably. I mean, that makes sense. And Culture Complete. We can't forget Culture Complete. I don't know. I kind of want to do it. I feel like that's pretty cool. I feel like it's pretty cool. All right, look at the corner of this card. Tell me if you can guess it. If you guessed Inkwell Leviathan, you are wrong. All right. Close it. Did we mess up our pile? No, we did not. All right. Oh, no. What did I just do? I just knocked... Something just disconnected when I bumped into my tower, my desktop. Something disconnected. All right, so for now, Manuscape Refractor is going to come out. We're going to put Renin 6 in first. I think that makes the most sense. Why does that make the most sense? That's a great question. Because the Manuscape Refractor was, in the very loose sense, ramp, and Renin 6 in a very loose sense is also ramp. So this is just going to go in the good stuff pile because I don't know where else to put it, to be honest. Entomb and Scavenging Ooze. So does Vandal Blast come out? Vandal Blast is currently on the chopping block in my mind. I think Vandal Blast... No, let's look at these two, though, honestly. These two I think are just... I think I put these in here as like straight memes. So whenever you discard a card, whenever you discard a creature card, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So that's not going to happen, really. Whenever you discard a land, make a treasure token. I mean, I discard lands to Lord Windgrace. And I discard creatures to Lord Windgrace. I think I see what I was doing here. Whenever you discard a non-creature, non-land, he fights something. This card is like fringe playable, but it's like janky enough that I like it. But objectively, I think it's probably not that good in this deck and probably shouldn't be in the deck. I didn't get to test play it last game, so I don't like. I'm sorry. When I played my last game, which was my test play of this deck, it did not come out, so I didn't get to test play the card. Whenever you discard a card, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it deals 1 damage to each opponent. I like this. I like it. I don't know how much work he's really going to put in. He doesn't have flying. I think my biggest problem with him is going to be like, short of a creeping renaissance with all my lands in the graveyard, I don't really see him killing any players. I just don't see him doing anything. And he gives target shark trample instead of target creature, so yeah. He's I'm gonna have to pass. He's out. He's definitely out. For Entomb, like Entomb can put lands in the yard. If I got like if I've got my what's he called? If I got Genesis in the yard, I can go grab my Dryad of the Elysian Grove. So I think Entomb should be in the deck. We're gonna put that with tutors because like you can get lands. So then Scavenging Ooze is the next card. I'm still leaning towards Vandal Blast. As much as I don't want to cut it because I bought the foil from time, the foil time shifted. That's the only reason I don't want to cut it. I don't have a legitimate reason beyond that, really. I would almost do like Ashaya. I feel like that card's pretty underwhelming. Like at best, like the deck doesn't have a ton of creatures, right? And it makes non-token creatures into forests. So like at best it's gonna make like a couple of them into forests. It seems like better. It seems better in like an elf deck or something. So I'm thinking probably that. And Scooze can make itself big pretty fast. You know, Scooze can really you can get out of hand. Yeah, I think that the value generated by Scooze is going to be far greater than, you know, this one. So this one's coming out. Other than that, I like the deck overall. I'm sure there's some new cards that could go in it. I can't keep up with this game. I really can't. So it, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, so that's how the deck is now. My mana base needs a little bit of tweaking, and that's fine. I'll work on that. It's not super urgent. The deck played, you know, I didn't have mana issues last game, but I think that there are some better land choices I could be making. So I'm gonna look into those and try those out. But yeah, otherwise, that's the deck. Feel free to post comments about it. If you have suggestions, go for it. You know, obviously I could add like a Mana Crypt. I'm probably gonna pull a Mana Crypt from another deck and get it into this one because I feel like this deck would benefit enough from it that I can justify pulling it from, honestly, probably some pretty dumb decks that shouldn't even have a Mana Crypt in them. Yeah, anyway, so that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video.